probably
It actually should be close.
Game.
It's either this round or next round. Or, excuse me, this round, yeah, or next round is top 12.
We'll see. Gruuby complimenting Ryung's hair. I mean, he's a nice guy.
What a sweetie pie. All right, so here we are moving into game number 2, top right corner of Cloud Kingdom. Playing as the red Protoss, this is Gruuby. In the lower left-hand corner of the map, playing as the blue Terran, representing Team Slayers, this is Ryung.
Wow, some results from the bracket actually. Violet 2 winning Leenock, which means that it is now Violet against Stefano, if I read that correctly, up in the upper bracket. No. Violet against Polt. Ooh, that'll be a sick match. And then Hart against Stefano. The winner goes on to play each other. That'll be a lot of fun. But in terms of being top 12...
He'll need to win this and one more, I think, for top 12.
Gotcha.
Because next round puts you in top 16.
Okay. Well, I think those will be played out tonight. I'm not sure if the... I'm not sure how far we actually go. I know we have 2 more matches here on this stream, and I think we're actually adding on a new match over onto the main stream to cast both of the semifinals in winners round on that stream. So you can actually check out more information. I believe we're tweeting twitter.com/MLG, or just go to majorleaguegaming.com, and I'm sure our content team has posted something about that. But getting a little bit more bang for your buck here this weekend. We figured, well, we don't really... There's no reason to stop tonight at 8 o'clock. Why not just throw the other match there and get a better produced match?
May as well.
Yeah.
Do what you want. Yeah, that actually, it's actually really cool that they're able to do that. Squeeze that extra match in there.
Yeah.
Man, so yeah, just confirmed on the bracket. Getting through this means that you are in the top 16. So you'll have to make it through this and one more round to be in the top 12.
Yeah. So still super important match, but it is not kind of the hump these players need to get over to be put into pool play.
Wait, excuse me, this is top 16
Really?
Right now. Yeah, so he wins this, he's in top 12.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, well then this is actually a very, very big and important match here. If you win these matches, you will be flown to Anaheim on MLG's dime, paying for your hotel, pick up your flight, and teams love doing that. Save some money there on sponsors. And
yeah, and is it? I'm not sure what the format is for Anaheim. Is this also directly into pool play?
I believe we are doing pool play again. Yeah.
Okay. Which is, I mean, that's incredibly valuable as well. You only have to win a few matches to already be, what, top 32 for the event?
Yeah. We'll get clarification, though, if you just go over to MajorLeagueGaming.com. You can never... John Nelson's brain is something that will be studied once he dies, because it is... I have to call him before each tournament to make sure that I have everything covered, and then try to reciprocate that to the rest of the production team to make sure they understand, and 9 times out of 10, I don't get it right the first time. So I have to
hey,
call
but
John
at the
again.
end of the day, the person that wins was likely the best person at the event.
Yeah,
so,
well, that's...
So clearly John Nelson knows what's up.
That's John's main thing, kind of always talking to him, is that he wants the most amount of fairness in a tournament to the winner, where winner always has the advantage going into a game. So.
Yeah.
There is a method to his madness, and thank God we have John to do all that for us, because no one else is that smart.
So here we have Gruuby. He did just start out at his natural. He has both of his gases down. He also only has 1 gate out there, followed up by his Psycore. Now just adding on a 2nd and 3rd gateway of his own, so looking very similar to the previous game. And Ryung doing slightly different things as well. He now has, I think it's 3 racks out, yeah. As well as his command center's already done out there, and he's already starting to get money. Yeah,
Ryung, pretty similar to last game, to be honest here. Gruuby, still not adding on. There is, ooh, he's going robotic facility right off the bat. Last game we saw him go for that quick Twilight Council and then the Dark Shrine right afterwards. So I think this is Gruuby's standard play. We mentioned last game that he wants to play reactionary, getting those observers out, and that will probably be what we see here on this map, Cloud Kingdom.
Sella, just Ryung hanging out. He now has his stim started up. Engineering bay is also underway as well. Now Gruuby over here is just about to finish up that robo as well as he continues pro production. Wow, 3 sentries coming into play. warping those in as he also adds on an additional gate, and now we've got Ryung adding on 2 reactors. Wow, he's really going to be pumping out those Marines.
Yeah, and what he's trying to do here is just make sure he has enough to hold off any pushes from his opponent. These Zelnaga towers are always so important in this matchup, and typically you'll see the Stalker control it, but Gruuby always getting super close. 2 HP on that Stalker. He's going to have to fall back, meaning that now map control, all because of Gruuby moving up, has shifted over to Ryung.
Yeah, which is going to be pretty crucial. Generally, Gruuby gets to stay very active on the map and really have control and vision of the map in his realm. And now instead he's going to be forced into an awkward position. Fortunately, he did go for that robo, so he's going to have that observer moving out into play. He's also building a second observer just in case, because as we saw, Ryung is pretty handy with those scans.
Right, right. And last game he actually was caught without any observers. And okay, I thought Ryung was actually, well, I wonder, okay, I think he was just looking for some pylons there, but he might very well know the timing of this build to go and check for an observer. I would not put it past any player in this tournament to be able to time that out, but it's pretty hard to do that, and also pretty hard to actively look for the observer. You can see it shimmer just a little bit, and he does see it and catches it. He knows the timing, guys. That's what that is. That's why all the Marines were across the map.
Yeah, he had the batch of 5 Marines out in the center in case he was able to see that shimmer. Although the observer did happen to go right by as he was there, but now he's, you know, actively going to be looking around his base to see if he can see any of those observers flying around.
Force field used to catch that SCV off guard. Will be taken out. Immortal out. Here comes that first Colossus. Going to be seeing probably a 2 Colossus push out of this. He needs to get extended thermal lance. Upgrade wise, as we see him take out yet another observer. Ryung is very, very on top of his just in-game sense. He knows exactly what to look for and how to look for it here. Already +1 on his Marines. Combat shield about to finish. 2 medevacs popping out, and here goes Ryung going across the map with the very, very standard 2 medevac, 2 marauder, heavy Marine push with +1 in stim.
This is going to be a relatively fierce push. Gruuby's not going to have too much out to defend this right now. He does have a single Colossus as well as 10 of those Zealots out there. But man, Ryung, if he gets in here quick enough, could potentially go in for a pretty hard flank. Those the sentries have been up for such a long time that really they just have a lot of force fields, so they can stop this attack for a good chunk of time. Oh man, but he is lifting up and dropping off into the main base, but Gruuby looks pretty prepared for this, getting that Colossus out there. Now how many of those units are going to be able to get out of there? Not too many. Gruuby able to pick off a few of those kills without losing a single unit.
Gruuby's probe scout there on those units really, really put him in a huge spot there. He was able to spot the medevacs as they were leaving that main force. But Ryung, was he? Okay, he's doing a little bit of dance here. Wasn't sure if he was going to go or just fall back. The factory is going to get a full scout on his opponent. And he can see how many gates he's got, what tech he has, and really know what's going on. He even sees that Gruuby might be taking a third here as the army moves over to clean up that Marine.
And now he's also adding on his double forge as well, so you can get those upgrades started, because as the game goes on, he's just going to fall further behind Ryung's upgrades.
Yeah. Already at
1-0, yeah.
1-1 about to finish here. Another Colossus popping out. 2 forges on the way for Gruuby, but he really needs to secure a third base so we can get those upgrades out even more. Let's go into Gruuby's view for a second. Pretty good map coverage. First off with the observers, as well as just some probes and pylons across the map.
And Ryung's still staying active, even though that he doesn't really have the same advantage that he does previously, because Gruuby's doing just such a stellar job keeping an eye on all of his possible openings. Because he knows that he was chipped away at last game, right? It wasn't a single thing that lost in that game. Yeah, losing the forges mid-upgrade hurt him quite a bit, but it was really just a game of him being chipped away.
A lot of Vikings out already for Ryung. Twilight Council started. The other Marines down that third. Ryung really does not want him to have one.
Hey, this just in. Not entirely relevant to the MLG Spring Arena #2, but we just heard that a wizard has soloed Inferno in Diablo 3.
Which wizard? Merlin?
There's not too many
Dumbledore?
wizards that have enough power to handle that. No. Do you have more information? Ah, you're leaving.
I think that information actually came out early, and
No,
Ryan's been working so hard.
It was that, like, I think it was that they got through Act 2 or Act 3 in Inferno solo, right? And then they were still, like, working on it.
I don't know. Why are we talking about D3? Are you actually... Are you...
I'm planting the seeds.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess a Blizzard employee does want to sell some copies of the new release game, guys. What can you say, Rob? Besides how much it costs.
Hey, D3 is really good, guys. Check it out.
It is indeed. Anyways, jumping back into this game, I have no idea why Ryan came in and told us.
I don't know. That's because, man, Cyanide does what he wants. He's like, this is my stream. I'll direct it into any game that I want.
I guess so. So.
Man, once again, this factory could prove to cost Gruuby at least a little money. No, but not this time. Pulling back as he sees the other forces get in there. Oh, very nice positioning with the Stalkers. He wants to make sure to keep those Colossus safe. Oh, wow. Wow, those Vikings just getting actually just a little too far out of position. Oh, no, but it's not looking like the Stalkers are going to be able to finish them off before they just deal huge damage to the Colossus. The Colossus are falling down one by one. And now those force fields have just made such a big difference here. Now the Colossus count has fallen quite a bit, but those force fields kept the ground units away from those Stalkers. So Gruuby was able to make that a very favorable exchange, now taking a 20 food lead.
The positioning there from Ryung was very, very good. The force fields basically are what kept Gruuby in that. The Viking placement was right over this area, meaning that not all the Stalkers could connect.
Well, now he lost a few of them, right? Like he lost a few Vikings before the exchange, and I think that hurt him quite a bit because if he had only had a couple more, he could have been killing the Colossi in one volley rather than two.
Right.
And then, I mean, if he'd have killed the other two Colossi, who knows how that would have turned out.
Well, Gruuby was actually thinking of moving out here, but he saw something that he was not so sure about. I don't think it was that one.
That lone Marine.
Yeah, he is swooping over to his natural, putting on a dance here in the middle of the map, kind of hesitating. Let's go into his view for a second to see exactly what he sees in this match.
He sees his research completing. Clearly, he's just about getting on his. I think is, if I'm not mistaken, by colors. Is that going to be 2-2? And now we see another engagement happening out here, getting down one of those Vikings. Now we haven't really seen him continue to produce Colossi.
Right. I think he's going to do the tech swap over to High Templars. We can see here, getting those Archons out as well as feedbacks, and the Psy Storms later on once he gets it researched is super important. Ryung, on the other hand, will most likely stay with this army composition for the entirety of this game. Adding on a couple Ghosts, though, will be definitely beneficial. And he's going to be 2-3 pretty soon, as well as 3-3.
And we have him now starting to move down to try to defend that. I want to take a look at those Templar and actually see how much energy those two have. But it's looking like they're actually getting picked off out there in the center. Also check out that Templar, just saving up that energy, ready to storm. He only needs a few more there. Oh man, what an interestingly placed Marine.
Big blink forward there for another unit. These Vikings are pretty useless. A good storm though, blanketing the army. The Ghosts are a little bit behind here. Force fields being put down.
Oh wow!
Look at all of the.
Those Vikings have absolutely nothing useful to do here.
Yeah, they could have landed behind and tried to pick something off. Oh, Gruuby forgetting to use this army.
Oh,
loses
ouch!
A lot of resources. 3 High Templar and an Immortal.
I think it was 4. I think that there was one out front there as well. So he actually lost an Immortal and what could have effectively been 2 Archons.
Oh, so sick.
Almost finishes off the mules. That would have been 3 mules for a storm.
Yeah, and they were fresh too, meaning that 150 energy was just used. Economically, that would be a great position here. Going forward to take out the Vikings, and we might see him start, immediately start producing more Colossus there as he sees that the Viking count is low. A great blink forward to take out one more Medevac, loses a couple Stalkers in the process here. Storm going down, making sure that the retreat will cost Ryung. Blinks forward, taking out the Ghost Gruuby's doing a really good job here as Ryung's slowly just throwing forces at this.
Oh, and actually, here we have Ryung. Yeah, Ryung's just kind of throwing in a very small amount of his units there. Wow. Gruuby doing a great job keeping that High Templar alive below the 4th base. But Ryung finds it, and it's going to go down before it's able to land a 100% successful storm. Now, Gruuby's also started establishing his 4th. Oh, Gruuby just a few seconds away from getting 3-3. Now, right now, Sela does have an upgrade advantage in this battle. As you can see, his 3-3 is already done. Ryung is just doing so good, staying on top of those upgrades, and Gruuby's just having so much trouble keeping alive there. Now, the blink under the Medivacs could be exactly what Gruuby needs to stay in this. He's now using the Archons to hopefully distract long enough to pull back his army. If he's able to warp in a few more High Templar, get up a couple storms, and also get those Colossi into play, now his 3-3 is going to be done. This next engagement could be very nice for Gruuby. There's not enough Medivacs out here to support.
Yeah, he took a lot of those Medivacs, and the tech switch actually back to Colossus will be a huge, huge thing here. He needs to go and try to save his 4th base. That's really the one thing that Gruuby is hinging on to keep him in this game here.
Oh,
Stem
man.
forward, though, on half the forces for Sela. Will he be able to, or excuse me, for Ryung, will he be able to save that? No, he will not. The Nexus goes down, and for not really much cost at all. Foreigner-wise, do you know how many foreigners remain in this tournament, Rob?
Well, we can actually take a look right now and give them a quick count. From what I see, this is...
Stefanos.
Oh, man. A Gruuby and Stefano.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay, so Stefano, of course, being in the upper bracket, might make his way all the way to the grand finals. We'll see those matches a little bit later today. Then Gruuby right here fighting for his tournament life against Ryung, down 0-1. And things like this are so annoying.
Ouch. All of those probes getting taken out. He's also finishing off one of those pylons out there so he's not able to warp in more reinforcements. A couple of Zealots are able to make it in. Now that he's done with that 3-3, you can just see how much better they trade across. That was only 2 Zealots against, I think, 5 Marines and 2 Marauders. And he was almost able to pick it off. I think he had to add a 3rd Zealot there.
Once again, another small force here. Had this been mining, you could easily start picking the units off. But now, the Zone Naga Towers are being pretty pivotal in this match. Gruuby does not want to fight that, but he does have a pretty good army. But he's not able to engage as now the Vikings are coming out here. Already 2 on the way with 2 more, as well as an additional starport and reactor.
Which is fun. Like, this is actually where Gruuby would like to be. Ryung doesn't have enough supply right now to add on more Vikings. He only has, I think it's going to... I mean, he only has 2 Vikings out in play right now, if I'm not mistaken. A total of 4, and then he's only adding 2 additional ones. Now, 6 Vikings is not enough to fight 4 Colossi, and now we have this army starting to engage. The Archons leading the charge as well as the charge Zealots. Oh man, all those Vikings trying to finish off those Colossi, but they're just not able to do their job before the Stalkers prevent them from killing any more. Huh. Decent exchange for Ryung. I mean, he just needs to delay Gruuby as long as possible because Gruuby's kind of lost a good chunk of workers there. He hasn't redistributed any of his probes that he moved up to that 3rd. Actually, that looks properly distributed. There we go, the natural.
Yeah. And he's also been on 3 base much longer than his opponent, who took this 4th pretty early on. He's even going to set up for another base down here with this command center being built. Not giving it away just yet, though, as a Zealot went in and tried to find it. But here comes 2 Stalkers. They're going to start harassing this mineral line, but we're about to see a big engagement here, as Gruuby does not want to fight that, but he will try to snipe some stuff. Like that goes. No, he does not blink, and Ryung really wants to keep it alive.
What an interesting bait, right?
Yeah.
Trying to throw out a really high-cost unit like the Ghost to bait in that blink. Following up with the Marauders was smart, but effectively, I mean, he had to use a stim, using at least a little bit of his energy. His medevac count isn't terribly high either. He only has 4 in play. Wow, man, that is so many storms.
Yeah,
I'm so afraid because all that needs to happen is like 1 EMP lands on them, and that's actually the end.
Didn't Gruuby have a nickname in Warcraft 3 called the Storm? Wasn't he the Stormcaller or something like that?
I do not recall a name like that.
I might be making that up. What were his nicknames in Warcraft 3?
I always just called him Gruuby, man. I don't know. I don't know what his handles were.
Well, not his handles.
No, I mean, like, yeah.
I mean, the Chinese and the Koreans had to have had a moniker for him, but I guess we will never know. Or we can just go look on Liquid
I
Media
don't know.
and figure it out
That's
then.
what happens when people didn't watch Warcraft. Like I didn't follow Warcraft 3 too closely until like the very end.
Right, right. Well, I'm sure someone out there on Twitter will tweet at us for not knowing.
Tell
what
us
it
why
was.
we're wrong.
Yeah. Stalker is out, of course, over here taking these units, and once again, it's kind of a bait for Ryung as he moves out on the force in the middle, but Gruuby is and Ryung are just kind of dancing between these two lanes. Storm going down on the Vikings, doing a pretty good amount of damage. Will Gruuby move forward with that force? No, he will not, as Ryung checks in and does not see anything.
Nope, nothing coming in. I thought that there would already be a response, and now we have the Archon starting to run away. Oh, taken out at the last minute. How many? Is this his first shield upgrade that's going to be finishing up? The color looks like it, yeah. Huh. Now that Gruuby has his fourth pretty much established and Ryung doesn't have that much of an advantage, we also see that there's not a huge amount, still just sticking with those 4 Colossi. And again, it's just going to come down to that positioning. Oh, nice. Gets in there and finishes off a Ghost that still had 1 EMP's worth of energy remaining.
Look at Gruuby's
vision, man. That map
How many
control.
observers does he have out? 4 observers right now.
Ooh, 6 snipe.
Yeah, also a storm going down and a repeat storm on top of the Vikings, taking a little bit of damage there, but they will be able to fall back. Storm, or excuse me, a scan right on top of Gruuby's forces, and Ryung believes he can take that now.
Oh,
Vikings
wow.
getting the first couple of shots off, but the EMPs as well, doing a lot of damage. That was not a good engagement.
Oh, man, he blinks back. He's just about to lose all of the Colossi. Unfortunate for Gruuby. Now he's starting to bring in a couple more of his High Templar. Oh, and they're going to get picked off there. Not getting the most that he could have out of that. And now we see Ryung. He's going to continue moving across. Now, up in the top left corner of the map, Gruuby has secured another base behind us. He's also continuing to warp in units. He's able to storm there just a little bit. He really needs to slow down this army for as long as possible. Now, Gruuby still has so many units in play. He's also adding on 6 gateways. He has enough resources to perform, I guess, at least 1 warp-in round here, as long as he continues to trade positively. Now, what happened down in the lower right-hand corner of the map? There was a little carnage down there. I think he had some Zealots go down and fight a few of those SCVs.
Look at how many friggin' gateways Gruuby has at the moment.
18. 18 total if we look at his 0.
It's a big warp, and he also does have a pretty big economic lead on his opponent. 68 to 58 harvesters, but just when I'm strictly speaking about money in the bank, he can do some big warp-ins like we see there. 9 Zealots, an Immortal, as well as a Colossus coming out.
Huh. All right, so Gruuby's actually in a pretty solid position now. He traded in that battle. It didn't look terribly favorable, but because Protoss production works on the front of its production cycle, and you don't have to wait for the units to build before you get them,
right?
He was able to remax very quickly. Now you see Ryung is actually in an awkward resource situation as well. He's got a whole lot of gas and not a lot of ways to spend it.
Sometimes that's a problem that Terrans will run into when they really, in game, they don't really have that many.
They don't have like a resource dump.
Yeah,
with at least with the compositions that are used.
Right, right. I mean, the obvious answer, like, well, what about BCs? What about Ravens? They're not really used that much. Raven, I guess, could be applicable here if you wanted to negate the Stalkers against the Vikings, but you typically just don't see it.
I mean, we'll actually see. I want to see how much of a difference the shield upgrades make, because it's a resource that regenerates mid-battle, so the less damage that's done to them, like, that's infinitely better on Blink Stalkers.
Right.
He's got so much Chrono Boost.
The way
well, I guess when you have 5 Nexus.
Right, right. The way this map is actually set up is rather annoying for Gruuby. He's got to go in here and take out this planetary fortress, but his only way out is going to be this thin little ridge, and positionally, he can take so many EMPs, so many volleys from those Vikings. Even with all the storms, those Ghosts are pretty resilient, and look at the damage done.
All right, so a couple of the Colossus were taken down. Now, as long as Gruuby keeps running, this actually isn't that bad for him, because he's going to be able to warp in a few more Templar, as we can see. And now, wow, Ryung trying to go for counterattack with Gruuby on top of the reactive warp-ins there, really doing what he can to delay it. Now his army's starting to move up to the top of the map. He's really just suffocating Ryung. Starvation. And now Ryung is going to try to take the 5th base. That's right above his natural.
Great storms there, and both armies are kind of moving perpendicular here up to the north. Gruuby's army is going to be able to get there and stop this, and we'll see how Ryung reacts. Looking like he just wants to secure this expansion instead of really committing to an attack.
He needs a way to get minerals very badly because that 4th is going to run out pretty soon. It's really been the only place that he's using mules. So that, I mean, that place is just about completely mined out. Getting a scan to pull off one of the observers.
Small little force here of Marauders. Trying to see if those High Templars were pushed forward. A pretty long game here. Very drawn out macro game between these two players. I mean,
yeah,
I
man,
didn't expect that from Ryung, actually, after that last game.
Well, it was like Ryung was doing such a good job staying active, and instead Gruuby, this game, realized, I only need like 2 Zealots to stop any of your drops.
Right.
And once you stop a couple of drops, the other player actually doesn't want to do them anymore.
Sounds like a Pringles commercial. Once you drop, you can't stop, man.
Once your stops get, or once your, I was going to say, once your drops get stopped, you have to stop.
Maybe so.
As he did.
Be like the anti-Pringles commercial.
Yeah. They had to get rid of that line, man.
I guess so. Where are all those High Templars at?
Hanging out there. There's 3 of them. They got a lot of energy. Gruuby is just trying to force unfavorable exchange. Oh, that's interesting. Using Snipe to take out those Stalkers because he can.
Yeah. And Ghost count up to 5.
Has Gruuby seen the left base? Yeah. Okay.
Protoss army is just really pissed off, all grunty and stuff when I went on.
We're being attacked everywhere.
Oh, fight here in between the two armies. It's going to be a pretty big fight, and Gruuby's going to be the one that has to fall back. Looks like I was going to say Seattle.
Well, he lost a lot of his Stalkers at the beginning of that exchange. Oh, man, and now we have the storms coming in, but it might just be a little bit too late here. Now, Gruuby is going to be able to warp in some more units very shortly. All of that army is just so low on HP, but Gruuby is forced to run back into his base. Now, one of the storms does land. Now, those medevacs are just about completely out of energy, so really Ryung cannot continue this attack, and Gruuby just has so many resources banked up that he's going to be able to replenish quick enough. We're not going to see Ryung able to build medevacs in time to reinforce and heal his army, so as long as Gruuby holds on long enough, he's going to be able to finish off this game.
He's about to be 3-3-3.
Wow.
Gruuby really playing quite well in the second game.
Dude, having that extra base and now even establishing a 6th.
Oh, he's bringing
the lower
all of
corner.
the High Templar here. Look at the energy on those. We might be seeing a pretty crucial death push here. Cannons going down. That's about 1,000 minerals. Ooh, he takes out the pilot. Smart move. It's a big warp and was about to occur there.
But that's, I mean, that's actually fine for Gruuby because he gets to keep all the money when something like that gets canceled anyway. And now he's just going to cancel and abandon this base. Yeah, that's totally fine because if he's trading for bases, Gruuby still actually has 2 mining bases. Ryung is going to have 0 after this exchange.
Yeah, and he's also going to be on 30 SCVs compared to the 60 or so, 66 of Gruuby. He is still definitely in this game. I actually kind of counted him out after that last engagement, but you were right. He had so much money in the bank and such a huge amount of warp-ins that he is still totally in this game, especially after going down here and throwing a pylon so he can't land and immediately start mining down here in the south.
Oh, well, I mean, look at that food lead. Gruuby did such a good job just by establishing that extra base up in the top left. He had so many resources. He had it on all those gateways earlier. He knew what this game was going to turn into. That's why he was willing to get down there and just get Ryung off of that 5th. He's also continued to stay active on that as well, and this could be the final engagement. Gruuby going in for the killing blow. Ryung, in an act of desperation, was trying to push into that base. He knows that he just doesn't have any tools left on his utility belt. And there he is, forced to tap out. Gruuby ties it up, bringing it into a 3rd game. This is going to be the final game in the series here. Big congratulations to Gruuby. Now, Ryung fought so valiantly, but Gruuby just stayed in the game and made it an endurance race.
Yeah, really impressive stuff there out of Gruuby. Now we go to the rubber match to decide who's going to be top 12 here at this event and get, of course, the flight and pool play seed over at MLG Anaheim.
Dude, that was wild. Gruuby did incredibly well. That was one of those things where it was looking like Ryung was just doing such a good job, and even in that last fight where Gruuby ended up down, I think, about 20 food. He lost so many stalkers in the beginning of the fight that we didn't quite catch on that cam. But Ryung had to stim so many times, he lost all of his medevacs and just wasn't able to heal up that army.
Artosis sending me weird pictures on Twitter. Dan, stop it. Trying to cast. Trying to look to see what the name.
I like how it's Dan's fault that you're looking at your phone in between games.
No, man, I was trying to see what Gruuby's moniker was. They used to call him King of Orcs, apparently. Oh, crap. Crap. Started the game too soon. And there we go.
Yeah.
Look at Gruuby just. Gruuby's like, that mother. Why did he start that game? And we'll get him in here in just 1 second. Of course, you guys didn't see any of that. Gruuby waiting for 1 second. And we'll get him re-invited back into this match. But now we're going to Metropolis as the third map.
We could ask Ryung to suggest.
How many times have you heard this song, Rob?
Metropolis. More than I would care to recall.
It's a pretty good song. I like the fat beats that it has.
You know, man, it's like any song that you like. Let's say you heard a good song before it came on the radio, right, and you were totally down to listen to it a few times. It only becomes a song that you don't want to listen to anymore after you have no choice but to listen to it.
Well, this song's pretty much the same one, if you think about it, because it's still like the same beat over and over.
Oh, this is what. So it's in between games. It's actually just like being in an elevator.
What place has elevator music like this?
I like W's and stuff.
Well, I
like
mean, actually, the MLG office is
the
correct answer. This is where we get our soundtrack.
From the elevators here, we're actually the only people in this building. There's only one floor here. The rest are dummy floors.
Correct.
We get to choose everything that goes in the elevators.
Sundance has a lot of money, man. I mean, what can I say? Reddit's right. I mean, he's got money falling. He walks around throwing it on people. That's what he does here at MLG. All right, we got the